Today's episode of Still Untitled is brought to you by Video Blocks. They offer great value with an unlimited download model. Choose from a library of over 115,000 HD video clips, After Effects templates, motion backgrounds, and cinemagraphs. On average, subscribers pay less than $1 per download over the course of a year, and they have a great variety of time lapses, aerials, US international locations, slow motion, nature shots, and more. Everything is 100% royalty-free, even if a subscription is canceled. VideoBlocks is also offering listeners of this podcast a year's subscription for only $99. This is $50 off the usual price tag for our listeners only, less than $10 a month. Get your subscription today for only $99 at videoblocks.com/stilluntitled. That's VideoBlocks, videoblocks.com/stilluntitled for this exclusive offer. Now on with the show.
Welcome to Still Untitled, the Adam Savage Project. I'm Will.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Norm.
Hey!
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We had a little bit of a late start this morning. Usually we're recording this at like 8:30 or 9, but no, it's 10:30.
We're actually recording this episode a week before people hear it.
This is true.
It's not a last-minute podcast, and that's because you are embarking on another week of travel.
It's like a couple of weeks of travel. I go to London, Budapest, and then Syracuse, New York.
Wow.
Of course, Syracuse.
After second prizes.
Gonna go see the Orangemen.
The what?
The Syracuse Orangemen. Isn't that their? Isn't
The
that
Orange
their?
Mitten?
The Orangemen.
It
That might not be their mascot anymore.
Oh,
It may be a racist mascot when I think about it.
I have no idea.
Wait.
I'm gonna go look that up. While
At
you guys
any rate,
continue
yes,
talking.
I'm embarking on a couple of weeks of travel. I'll be back here for Tested Live,
Yes,
and then
live show.
traveling again, and then back here again. We got a lot of things in the works. We're going to go shoot a ton of awesome, really we have so much sitting in the sidelines for Tested that no one knows about yet, that we've been like logging for the past few months. I can't wait to start to roll it out.
Yeah, and I'm going to get the promotional stuff out of the way first. Our live show is this Saturday.
Wait, what?
So the three of us will be there. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Put it on your calendar.
The way this is recorded. Right?
Woo!
It's not some. It's
We
not
got to do this tomorrow. Holy
No,
cow!
it's this
I
Saturday.
like the fact that your freaked out look is also a half smile, Will.
It's possible I was hamming a little bit.
And like every year, it's our third year doing it. I'm getting to the point where 1 week before the show, I'm having dreams and nightmares about the running of the show.
I'm not this year for whatever reason.
For whatever reason.
Um,
Lucky you. Lucky you.
the Syracuse Orangemen was the racist.
Oh.
Now it's just the Syracuse Orange. They changed it in 2004.
Okay, good.
So there we go.
I'm glad racism ended in 2004.
So if you're in San Francisco, the Bay Area, we'd love to see you Saturday. It's at part of the Bay Area Science Festival at the Castro Theater.
At the amazing, beautiful Castro Theater.
Yes. Everyone who's gone in past years has had a wonderful time, and we promise you a good time this year as well.
Including all of us on stage. It's lovely, again, doing this YouTube channel it's not very glamorous. Like I've said about Mythbusters too, we all work hard, we get dirty. So it's really fun to get up on a stage and hear direct response from the audience. There's just nothing quite like it.
There's when you're used to working and talking to a camera, there's nothing like standing on stage and having people yell and be excited about the thing that you just did.
Exactly.
No matter how dumb it is. Can we talk about the thing that we're doing yet? That I'm doing? You want to talk about it here?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because we talked about it in person last night in the real world.
Let's do it.
So we're going to do a version of Still Untitled in VR on the stage at the same time.
Yes.
So if you are sitting in the audience, Adam, Norm, and I are going to put on goggles, each of us. We're going to get into the Foo Studio, which is what I've been working on for the last year.
Yep.
And we're going to walk around, and we have... Do we want to give the whole thing?
No.
Okay. We have interesting things to talk about and explore.
And to do.
That we will be doing that we could only do in VR, or we'd have to, I guess... we could do this one in the real world, but it's still going to be fun.
And for people in the audience to see that type of performance and to see it projected on screen is something that, as I've read in many VR publications, is a thrilling adventure.
We have done this once before. We did it XOXO last month, and people from The Verge to Upload VR and a bunch of other places seem to be really excited about it. So
I'm looking forward to this.
you've not actually tried the thing that I built.
I
so,
have not tried the thing that you built, so this is going to be. I'm a test monkey.
Yeah, this is going to be your first experience with this. So Norm's seen it before, but
I just want to
it'll
say
be
for
fun.
the record, I have nothing against monkeys.
No, and remember, we have to be really careful because if you die in VR, you die in the real world.
That's right.
You had
It's
me there for a
super
second.
Not
everywhere.
Like this. Not like this.
Be careful.
Not like this.
Hilarious. Not like this. Nice.
Not like this.
At the end, we just all slump to the floor.
Oh, that's when she says "not like this."
Not like
That's
this.
the saddest. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
Hey, ask me about this piece of brown paper.
Hey, Adam.
Yes.
You have a piece of brown paper sitting in front of you next to the phone that you just put on the XLR cable that I'm going to move.
Oh,
what,
right.
What is the piece of brown paper?
This is fascinating. This is a really lovely thing. This came about. I never found a place to talk about this, but when I was researching The Shining Maze, which is now a year and a half ago,
Yeah.
or more, actually, almost 2
Almost
years
two.
ago, I'm a completist. So I started to look at every aspect of the maze. I got access to some amazing archival materials from behind the scenes on The Shining, some ectochromes that allowed me to see things like the Shining Maze plaque on the back of the maze that's in the exhibit that no one knew about. All of this is really, really cool stuff. But I was also looking at the kiosk in the full-size maze fascia that's in the movie, and you get to see Wendy and Danny and Mr. Ullman walk past this kiosk, and it's like well, there's two things. There's a magazine kiosk, and then there's also a sort of like here is your Shining Maze, sort of like the bulletin board at any dog park kind of thing.
Yep.
And hanging on this kiosk are a bunch of different things.
Like
and
pamphlets?
and other stuff.
Okay.
And so I started to think, I started to realize when I was looking at the references and influences of The Shining Maze that Kubrick sent his people to like Colorado and to places like that around the United States to look at lodges and what they would have. And so they all brought back tremendous volumes of reference material. And I started to think about that, and I was like, you know what? I see, I think it's this that I saw.
So
Right. And I could make out that it was clearly a map of something.
Yeah.
So I started to think, I wonder if I could find that map.
How big on the frame was that?
It's tiny. I mean, you really could see. I mean, it's as if I'm holding it 30 feet away from you.
Okay.
But I could tell I'm looking at big roads and small roads.
You knew it was a map.
I knew it was a map. So I started to think, I wonder if I could find that map. And I started to look. I can't quite remember the full search parameters that led me to this, but I started to look at lodge pamphlets. And lo and behold, I found this map on eBay. And when I turned it over, it was another map that's clear on the kiosk. And then when I opened it up, several of these
Pamphlet
pieces are
pages?
also visible on the kiosk in The Shining.
So it's got 6 of them and folded them different ways and displayed them in the set dressing.
And this is literally from Central City, Idaho,
Colorado.
Colorado.
I've been there.
Right.
I've had that map before.
Really?
Yeah, I went there when I was 10 years old in 1985 with my father, and we went on a trip to Colorado. We flew to Denver, and then we drove up to Estes Park and all through Colorado. And we went to Central City. It was the first place we stopped after we got off the plane. And it was if it wasn't that exact map, it was the 10 years newer version of that.
Right. So this
Yeah.
to me, I managed to find on eBay a piece of ephemera that really probably doesn't exist anymore, and shows also the depth of research that Kubrick would do for any one of these films.
And also the versatility of finding one prop can work 6 places.
Right.
And on screen, it reads as 6 different things. My question is, the eBay listing, the people selling it have any connection? They list it in any way related to the movie?
Not at all. Not even
So
remotely.
it was
No.
pure-
I'm the first person I think in decades to actually realize to figure this out.
So pure visual
Because no
connection.
one else cares. I mean, really. I mean,
Yeah.
who would?
Well, but I mean, who puts a pamphlet like this is the kind of pamphlet you get at like the Welcome Center when you drive into a state, or
right.
at the you go to some tourist trap and there's always a rack of other tourist trap pamphlets there.
Right.
And just to be clear, Central City, total tourist trap.
Sure.
Why would somebody put that on eBay?
Oh,
Was it for a lot?
actually, sorry, Midwest Vacation Land ephemera is all over eBay. So
Really?
postcards from, if you name a famous lodge, let's say that's built during the robber baron age, during the railroad age, even if it's no longer there, postcards of it, maps of it, lighters, coasters, everything is all available on eBay. People are constantly trading in this stuff.
Did
Now-
you? Oh, go ahead, Norm.
You said that you don't remember the exact sequence of search and things that got you to that result. Is that process? Do you think that's interesting to people?
Well, it is because I start out. I actually realize now that I tell this story that it's this that I realized was a map. It's this sort of drawing that
The
I realized must be a
stylized,
map, and
yeah.
that I recognized when I saw the eBay auction. So, I realized, I'm looking for a map. I'm looking for a printed map. I'm probably looking for an illustrated map that I've seen on like placemats in diners and stuff like that. So I started looking at Colorado Lodge map, those sort of things. And then I started getting more specific. I started looking by cities. And then, so you end up doing this oscillation between highly specific search terms and then highly general search terms. And sometimes you look at stuff and you realize, every now and then you'll search like Colorado Lodge and you'll find out that's a maker of skateboards or something. And then it's all skateboards. And you're like, okay, wrong direction. Let's, minus skateboards. Let's do a Boolean search and kind of remove that.
I find that sometimes it's more satisfying when those journeys you take the long way than if there was one little identifying marker where at the end, I could just search this and got to it. And finding those weird connections and all the peripheral information that you then learn in that long way journey.
Totally.
That's the more satisfying result.
Well, and I suspected, just knowing so I knew that researchers went out into the U.S. for Kubrick and came back with all sorts of pictures, information, and ephemera. And that he said, all right, so here I want a bulletin board thing and just put up some things that you've gotten on your journeys from folder 75, right? I'm sure that's exactly how that direction went. So knowing that, I was, the auction only showed this page, and I wanted to see what was inside. So when I got it, having spent hours looking at the Blu-ray screen grab of The Shining, when I opened it up and I saw that, right? I recognized that was clearly an illustration of a building that must have been in some sort of old town tourist trap type of place. That reveal in my house at that time was super thrilling.
That's really good.
It's archaeology. And it deeply satisfies this completist's brain.
National Treasure, movie edition, starring Adam Savage.
Oh boy. You can do a Nick Cage, right?
No one can do a Nick Cage.
What level
but
of
Nick
crazy
Cage.
can you go?
Oh, no, I'm not that crazy. And he's, by the way, I love Nicolas
He seems like a really charming man.
I'm not positive about that, but he is committed and overall, he's awesome. Our culture is better for having Nicolas Cage in it.
Oh, no, I was thinking about The Rock and the Rock and Face Off, right? Which kind of go together in my head.
Yeah.
And he went from The Rock is the moment that he went from being a kind of nebbishy nerd guy to being an action hero, right? That and Con Air and Face Off all came out around the same time.
Con Air is amazing. Con Air is, I love that movie.
I've never actually seen Con Air.
It's so bad.
No, so yes, it is terrible.
It's
And
Malkovich is the
really,
bad guy, right?
really, really enjoyable. So I was at a cocktail party. I might have told the story on the podcast
No,
years ago.
I
I was at a
don't.
cocktail party.
We've never discussed Con Air before.
right after Con Air came out. And literally 2 days after it came out. And I just went on opening night because it looked like a fun movie, totally goofy movie. And it was precisely what was offered, right? It's like a Jerry Bruckheimer film, right?
Yeah.
If it's not, it's
No,
that
no, it
genre.
is. It
Okay.
is.
It's an 80s. It's the late 80s action movie.
but it's-
Pre-Eraser.
but
So I
it's
went.
90s.
I enjoyed the spit
right.
out of it, and then I was at this cocktail party a couple days later, and there's a guy there, and he was like, Con Air, what a piece of crap," which I don't disagree with, but he was angry about it. But the movie had only just come out, so he had taken the time to go see it, right? So my question to him was, what about the advertising campaign led you to believe it was a different movie?
Yeah, what were you
Because
expecting?
as far as I'm concerned, they delivered precisely what they were offering in their trailers and their commercials.
Back then, they weren't the options. You didn't have the options. If you were a moviegoer, you watched that one movie a week, and you watched the big blockbuster one.
I don't think it was quite that far back ago, Norm. I mean, I think
it was the 90s, yeah.
It was
Norm
the
doesn't
90s.
remember. Norm doesn't remember the 90s.
No, I don't remember.
It's for me. Like if your expectation, if you watch that trailer for Con Air and you think, oh man, that looks like it's going to be a really heavy think piece with a lot of character development, and we're going to go on a spiritual journey with Nick Cage through the Con Air, then you're going to be disappointed,
Yeah,
right?
it's not high art, but it's wonderful. There's somebody did a beautiful article defending the acting of Nicolas Cage, and it might have been a BuzzFeed article.
Okay.
Looking back at his whole oeuvre. And one movie they singled out was a movie actually some friends of mine worked on in New York back in the 80s, was the vampire pick Vampire's Kiss
Never saw
with
it.
Jennifer Beals.
Oh, okay.
Now, I've never seen this, but repeatedly in the article and then in the comments, people were talking with great affection for how wonderful this movie was, and I've been meaning to see it because I had no idea it was great.
I also had no idea it was great.
And you know what? Like when we say, oh, like we often lament, okay, like thank goodness Nicolas Cage didn't make that Superman movie.
I would have loved to see that Superman movie.
I would gladly trade Superman Returns
Yeah,
for the Nick Cage Superman
Oh,
movie.
Superman Returns! I loved that
if
movie.
Brian
We
Singer,
can agree to
if
disagree.
Brian Singer had never left X-Men and made X-Men 3,
Yeah.
that would have been better on two fronts.
Right, exactly.
Oh, really? You
Then
guys both
Superman-
hate Superman Returns?
I did. I find Superman Returns. I don't hate it. I just thought it was Donnelly, Richard Donner karaoke.
Oh, fascinating. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I don't disagree with that. I thought it had a big heart.
Oh, it
I thought the
absolutely-
movie was a very
Deadbeat
sweet.
Dad Superman.
What's that?
Deadbeat Dad Superman.
Deadbeat Dad?
Yeah, the
He
kid was his.
The twist. The
Spoiler.
The kid,
Right,
the kid was
right.
his, and he's like, "Oh, I will not be your father.
I totally forgot.
You have
about
to be
that
an
part.
orphan, just like I was,
It
to
wasn't
learn
even-
your strength."
Hey, even that's better than, oh, son, you should have let the whole school bus full of children die so you could hide your
Yeah,
things.
good
Well, there are
Because you're
many,
in-
many
What
problems.
the
in that movie,
hell
too.
is going on, Zack
Look,
Snyder?
everybody knows that Kevin Costner's a dick. That's all there is to it.
I disagree. I love Kevin Costner
I know, I love
as
Kevin
long
Costner,
as he
too.
is playing
Yeah.
washed-up sports heroes.
Um,
Right? Tin Cup, Upside of Anger, Bull Durham,
Bull Durham is one of the greatest.
For the
baseball-
Love of the
yes.
Game.
Oh, that's a good one too.
All of these are Kevin Costner is absolutely vat grown to play a washed-up sports hero.
I would add
He and
post-apocalyptic.
the Quaid, not Randy Quaid,
Dennis Quaid.
Dennis Quaid.
Dennis Quaid.
Right.
Well, Dennis. Yeah. What was
rookie.
the Topher Grace movie where Dennis Quaid played the boss and
Oh
the
yes.
father?
Oh god, it had a really like a pun name.
Angels in the outfield
No,
or
no,
something
no.
like that.
it was like the internship or yeah, I can't even remember. But I remember in one of the reviews they were like, Dennis Quaid plays the grizzled old boss / dad to a perfection he's been slow cooking for decades. And I was like, that is exactly what Dennis Quaid has been doing.
Okay, so I think that Kevin Costner's loop through the post-apocalypse
You
with
mean
the
in the
Postman
Postman
and
and
Waterworld, I know that they are not good films. I acknowledge that.
Okay.
But I would argue that Kevin Costner turns in good to great performances in both of those otherwise terrible movies.
Oh, I'm gonna actually. I'll state unqualified that Kevin Costner is a fantastic actor.
Yes.
he's terrific. He is wonderfully committed, and actually, Dances with Wolves is a beautiful movie.
Dances with Wolves is great.
Terrific film.
It's a little long. if we want to be critical.
In Good Company.
In Good Company, right? Oh my God! Somebody thought
Oh,
that was a
that's a
great
terrible
title.
Oh,
at the
and
time.
like, oh wow, yeah. They're
High
about-
five!
it's
We got it, guys! High five!
about corporate names. Yeah, it's like Promised Land. You know that Gus Van Sant movie with Matt Damon?
No, I never saw that.
Oh, I never saw it.
It was exactly what you expected it to be. It was about fracking.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Where were we? Did we have a theme for this podcast, or are we just wandering around?
We're
We were talking about the Shining Maze, and
The Shining Maze.
You said let's talk
And
about
the-
the brown
and the
piece of
deep
paper.
dive.
I did want to talk about the brown piece of paper
Yeah,
because
and
we
then-
haven't discussed it any other place, and I need an outlet for my completism. That's the trick.
So to paint the word picture, to loop back around on the pamphlet,
Yes.
it's literally it's one of those like a 6x3 six-fold pamphlets.
It's a
that you get at
six-fold, 8.5 by 11
Yeah.
pamphlet that you would get for going to Century City, Colorado, and discovering historic Central City aspects and turn-of-the-century photographs, maps of how to get there, and the beautiful illustrated map of what it's like downtown.
You find them in literally every Holiday Inn in Middle America, gas stations, rest stops,
Yeah.
all the places.
This is one of those pamphlets. When you check into the hotel and there's
Yeah.
that big pamphlet rack. This is one of those from the 80s.
Hey, if you're
From the
here at our
70s.
hotel and don't know what you're doing tomorrow, we have some ideas.
And I'm sure hot air ballooning is at the top of that goddamn list.
It's always hot air ballooning. There's a go-kart track, someplace you can ride horses.
A friend of mine
Hay rides.
submits that if you go to any state's website, South Dakota, Vermont, doesn't matter, there's going to be a hot air balloon on the
Oh,
front
man.
page of
It's
that
the best way to
state's
get that
website.
view.
Oh man,
To see
Right?
the beautiful landscapes.
So I want to know if there's an archive.org equivalent for these. I bet somebody is really into these somewhere and has collected hundreds and hundreds of thousands of them.
You've just spoken the magic words to make sure that if there is, someone will link to it in the comments.
Well, that's what I wanted. I did it. It wasn't
Yes.
an accident.
Yeah, no, obviously.
Say it 3 times. You know, it occurs to me this will be the last episode we record before Halloween.
Oh,
Halloween's on a Monday this year. Next Monday for you guys listening out there.
Well, are you doing anything for Halloween?
I am likely not doing anything special for Halloween.
do you look at Halloween as the way people who are heavy drinkers look at New Year's and St. Patrick's Day? Have we made this joke before?
We have had this joke
Okay.
before.
But the thing I do want to do...
The joke is that, sorry, just for those listening, the joke is that an alcoholic calls New Year's Eve amateur night.
Right.
And I don't mean to say that Halloween is amateur night. Actually, I tend not to dress up on Halloween specifically because if I went out in one of my giant, super elaborate, crazy correct costumes, it's really like it's overly showing off.
Well, and there's a likelihood it's going to get vomited on also. Around
No,
here.
that's not what I'm worried about. It just feels. Plus, so I have gone trick or treating with my kids in the Chewbacca costume, which was awesome.
Oh, that would be good.
A few years ago, my wife and I walked through the Mission home from a Halloween party. She was dressed as Han Solo. I was dressed as Chewie, and people went nuts. That was really fun.
that's so good.
And I may do something this year, like pull out one of the Jack Aubrey costumes because they're quite comfortable to
Yeah,
wear.
something that feels like a second skin.
Yeah, and then go do something. But as far as putting on like Totoro again, that's not how I enjoy Halloween.
You're not okay. That makes sense.
It's more of the con. Halloween is not necessarily cosplay, although definitely there is a lot of crossover.
It's where people get started a lot of times and
It
get
is
the taste.
absolutely true.
And all the effort that people put in, the weeks
Yeah.
and months they have. To
Have you
lead
seen
up
that there's
to-
a sexy Ken Bone costume?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm just picturing it in my head. What I see is like a sweater vest, maybe.
Yeah,
It was very
but like
tight.
a cutoff
Yeah.
sweater
Like
vest?
like a weird.
I just
yeah.
love the idea that there's someone out there that was like, we need to make a sexy version of that.
Well, his AMA delivered hard.
His AMA delivered far beyond his own
I
expectations.
know. Snoop Dogg was the #1 comment, and then the #2 comment behind that was, "Wow, Snoop Dogg and Ken Bone need to do a TV show called Give a Dog a Bone."
I would totally
and
watch
be,
that.
I would
and
totally-
be traveling detectives.
I would.
So I
yeah.
will tell you, I haven't told this story publicly, but I know Russell Crowe a little bit. He's a fan of Mythbusters. His kids were fans. And at one point, he was telling me a story, and he began the story thusly. And I can't do his accent, but he was like, "One day, Snoop Dogg and I said, stop right there. That is already the best story I've ever heard.
That's all the visual you need.
That is
Right.
all
Yeah.
that I needed to hear.
It's like the 6-word short story.
Right, exactly.
Baby shoes. Like, what? But it's Russell Crowe saying,
Russell Crowe
Russell
and
Crowe
Snoop
says,
Dogg
one
walk
day,
into a
Snoop
bar.
Dogg and I. Wow. Okay, I'm
Done.
in. I'm
Yeah,
100%.
mission
give him
accomplished,
the
guys.
award. The short story award.
I'm going through a difficult phase right now,
With chapstick.
which is chapstick phase. You know how like you start to put it on and then you become immediately addicted to having it on your lips, and then like if you don't have enough on your lips feel like they're burning because you've gotten addicted to the wax protection. I'm in that phase right now.
You
It's
need-
not pretty.
What's your? You want? Let's do some
boy.
shout outs.
I believe this is actually original OG chapstick.
So OG chapstick
Versus
always did
Burt's
that to
Bees.
me. I use the Burt's Bees.
And it doesn't do that to you.
I don't do that. I use it like twice a week. I don't have a problem.
Here's my
man.
other
I'm
question:
clean.
is what kind of disease vector is chapstick?
But you don't give it to other people.
But people do. Like I've had people be
What
like,
the
"Oh,
fuck,
do you want
man?
some of my chapstick?" And I'm thinking,
No.
never.
No. What?
Why don't
have
you
my
spit-
gum.
Why don't you
Herpes?
like? Why don't you spit in my mouth?
Yeah.
Right. It's even worse than that. It's herpes. Do you want oral herpes?
Well, I think everyone has oral herpes, isn't that right? It's
people
like a
don't
90%
exhibit it.
saturation.
Yeah.
Speaking of spitting him out, well,
Norm, that, like, there's no reason to go on with the podcast after that. I
and
think we're
it's
done here.
topical.
Wow.
2 weeks ago, our office manager invited us to the Armory in San Francisco.
So glad I don't work there.
Oh, right,
and
right,
they do
right.
a hunt.
Where kink.com is based.
Yes, in San Francisco. It's a famous building, and they convert it into a haunt.
Oh,
in
they do?
October.
Oh, really?
They do. And there is spitting involved.
On people?
There's saliva and things involved. I don't want to give it away, but
Look, well, oh wow, that's.
I don't wanna be spit
I want to
on.
give a shout out to kink.com because in a place where we live in a world where the internet is a horrifying morass of abuse and terror, especially when it comes to sex. And kink.com is a really lovely female positive, sex positive, self-actualization, encouraging site for people to get their freak on. And I it's not necessarily my thing, but that doesn't mean it's not a great thing because people should have a safe place to do that, and Kink really provides that online. I'm just
And
gonna
they do
give that
classes
little-
and all sorts of other
Yeah.
stuff. It's like they're a community resource.
Did they take you down to the river underneath?
so no, this one
Because there's a
was more-
secret river underneath
I
the
didn't
armory.
Wait, really?
Yeah. They're apparently an old creek that runs through the Mission District is visible in the very
I'll have to
basement
do-
of the
have to do
basement of
that.
the armory.
Yeah. But they set dressed some of the rooms for hunts, and it was actually the first hunt I'd done.
Do you get into the haunt by walking through it? Never mind.
Yeah, you're good. Do you have to put on a costume, Norm?
No costumes.
No
They do
costume.
bag your heads though.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Was
Have you
this-
guys done hunts?
And that's not a
Like
euphemism.
real scary haunts. Like,
Yes.
did you have to sign a waiver or anything?
Yep. Got to sign the
Oh
waiver.
wow, it's that kind of like you might
Yeah,
not
I'm
make it
not
all the
into
way
that.
through. Is there a safe word for the
There's
haunt?
a safe word.
What is a safe
What
word?
was your safe word, Norm?
Safety.
I wonder how they came up with that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You remind me of Tracy Morgan had a joke on 30 Rock. You should have a safe word and it should not be more.
Have you guys done hunts before?
No.
I'm not interested in that.
I don't like being scared at that level.
I don't like being scared at that level either, or even just like trying to picture how rough it is on the people doing it.
I don't
You
even
mean the
play VR.
performers?
What's that?
The performers or the
The performers, but also,
The guests.
frankly, a lot of that redounds to women tied in chairs and being abused, or the implication of abuse. And frankly, I don't have a problem with horror movies per se, but like there's enough imagery in the world of women being harmed that I don't need to see
Oh,
anymore.
man, we really need to watch Westworld. You need to watch Westworld.
Yeah, no,
'Cause there's a lot
I'm-
to talk about there.
I know. There's a lot of important stuff to talk about. I'm excited about it.
I don't do scary VR games. I don't like that level of violence. I react poorly.
I
to
found
it.
that in this one, it was more in my head, the scary stuff, than what actually happened. But I love the idea of and these are very popular all over the country.
Yeah.
Sometimes they run,
Yeah.
12 months a year.
There's a lot of like local stage people that fund their entire year off of their Halloween hunts.
I was talking to Frank and Len on their podcast about it, and I think Len did one that was in the building they filmed The Shawshank Redemption in.
Oh,
cool.
nice.
And so it's
Oh,
about
Len
turning,
Peralta, yeah.
and turning all these old buildings into like these amusements.
Now, there used to be a famous one in New Jersey when I was growing up that I can't even remember what it was called or where it was. I'm sure someone will remember. But when I worked at one of my first adult jobs was in New York, I worked at the 8th Street Playhouse where the Rocky Horror Picture Show fad and the Midnight Movie fad both began in downtown New
At the
York.
same time or one after the other?
I think that's a good question. I believe Midnight Movies. So Rocky Horror Picture Show began at the Waverly Theater on 6th Avenue and then moved to the 8th Street Playhouse after a couple of years. And the Midnight Movies were also in several different theaters down there, at the Waverly, at the 8th Street, at the Thalia. So I worked there in the mid-'80s. And my manager, one of my managers, Chris Johnson, who I saw recently in Florida on tour, amazingly, used to work at this haunted house in Jersey. And he said that like all of those performers back then in the 70s and 80s were like tripping balls on acid the whole time they were performing in the haunted house.
I wouldn't want to know that going through it.
No, that would make
Yeah.
me feel better.
I know. Yeah. Could you imagine? Like, that sounds like a lot of trouble.
mistakes would be made.
And you wouldn't know they were mistakes.
Well,
right? Talk about losing the plot.
Yeah, like it seems like that is a real like a very well structured way to have a really, really bad time.
Let's call it ripe for misadventure.
Yeah, that's good. That's exactly it. That's the name of the episode.
So the other thing that happens on Halloween, and I'm curious to see how it happens this year, is that people dress up as me and Janie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I love those. I love
Couples
those
dress
tweets.
up as me. I will say that almost steadfastly, if the couple is a heterosexual couple, invariably the man dresses up as Jamie and the woman dresses up as me. I
does that
don't
ma-
know what that
Hold on.
means in the world.
We have to ask some questions here. How does this make you feel, Adam?
Are you kidding? It's wonderful. I love the idea that our show has such resonance that people want to dress up as me. Little kids with a goatee drawn on their face and an Indiana Jones hat. To me, that's amazing.
I love the engineering that small children put into their Jamie mustaches and goatees.
Yes.
It's always hilarious and awesome to see like a 6-year-old kid with an enormous mop of
I know, it's
mustache.
great.
on.
I've also seen, we have a picture that I saved from Mythbusters archives. I don't know if it's over there, but it's a picture that some kid drew of Jamie. And his mustache is bigger than Jamie, and stuck in the mustache on one side is a bomb, and on the other side is a baby.
That's great.
This mustache is so large.
I mean,
It encompasses multitudes.
one would not be surprised.
Yeah, I think when Will and I were working together, we missed the opportunity for the Green Hornet cosplay.
We talked about it.
When
at
that-
one
when that
point.
movie came out.
We
What?
went- we
Wait,
went-
it looks crazy.
Clearly,
you have a
Will's
Kato mask even.
Yeah, that I could loan you.
Yeah.
right?
So are you planning to dress up for Halloween?
No, I don't,
No?
I don't think
Not
so.
this year. It's
You're gonna take your daughter
I
out?
take my daughter around.
Is she gonna be like a loaf of bread or a little bumblebee?
She's almost 4. So
This is
we're
a very funny podcast.
we're all over the place.
At least
this
to
week.
me.
We made the mistake of like we've been introducing movies to her for the last
Yeah.
couple of years, and we showed her Little Mermaid. I hadn't watched Little Mermaid in a long time, and I
Yeah.
love the music, which is what I'm most
Yeah.
familiar with from Little Mermaid. But as a messaging movie to show a little girl, it is
terrible.
a fucking shit show. So
That's hilarious.
she said, "Oh, I want to be Ariel for
Yeah.
Halloween." We're like, "Oh Christ, okay, I'll make a tail and all that." She's like, "No, I want to be human Ariel because I have legs." So my wife took her to the Disney store, and that probably was the biggest mistake to date of our parenting.
How come? How come?
Well, because the Disney store Halloween costumes are. It is as if the merchandising people at the fine Walt Disney Corporation saw a bunch of 3 to 10-year-old girls and just started making like the money signs opened in their eyes.
Right.
Because they make these costumes, they look nothing like the character. Like they made
Right.
made a mermaid princess dress. They call it the Ariel costume.
but it doesn't have any semblance of what she's wearing.
No,
in the
and they
film.
position it in the store in such a way that the kids see another $100 worth of accessories and nonsense that also have nothing to do with the film.
right.
But have the logo
And have the
a
picture and
Like
the
girly
logo.
tridents and
It's
things?
like no, it's not even a trident. It's just a fucking wand. It is so offensive to
I'm
me.
sorry.
So they make a tiara, which
Yeah.
is shitty. It has a
This is
metal.
Will's going on.
I'm gonna unload on
Scorched earth
Suck it,
policy.
Disney. The tiara has a metal front, which is nice. It's a heavy. It feels well made.
yeah.
But then the wand is just the metal front of the tiara bent around a piece of plastic resin with a light in it and a stick that wobbles, and they can press a button and make the light. Like she loves it. Like I
Right.
I have
Kids
absolutely.
have no taste.
I mean, she's 3 years old, and she's really excited about it. And
Yeah.
she's dressing up like Ariel in her head. She looks
Yeah.
just like Ariel, which is all that matters
Yeah,
at the end of the day.
of course.
But it's a shitty thing to do for the people who make the merch.
Are you going to dress up to go with her? Are you going to be like?
I don't think I'm going to wear a King Triton costume.
No?
No.
No.
I thought about for a while she was on a Baymax. She was on a Big Hero 6 kick.
I have an inflatable Baymax costume here.
You could
You
wear
do?
it.
Can I borrow it?
Yeah, you totally.
I
can.
will totally wear that.
Wow.
Absolutely.
I was gonna buy one, and then she didn't want to do. She wanted to be one of the other. She wanted to be the girl with the roller skates.
Yeah, I want an inflatable Baymax costume, and I know I just said I had one, but I want one that's better than the one I bought. I bought one on eBay. It's great. You're huge.
Yeah.
you'll have it's amazing, and you can see through the thing on his chest. And so
Okay.
I'll
I
pull
won't
it down
die.
after the podcast. But I want this one. It's slightly translucent, and I want one that's a little bit.
Do I have
better
to wear
than
like a
that.
white leotard inside it so I don't show through?
Yeah, you probably want to.
Okay.
Pixar didn't happen.
Frank and I have been talking about it for a while.
About making
how
a
to make a
Baymax?
good one.
It's got to be inflatable.
It's got to be inflatable. I think
all
that
about
you can.
materials.
I think that you can use some other materials. I want to do one that's inflatable with the armor on the outside.
Oh wow, there's a few people
I've
who've
seen
done
people
that.
who've done
yeah, no,
it.
there's some gorgeous stuff on that front out there.
But I think we have an interesting approach.
So for the stage, I'm working on another stage tour, but that's just I'm not going to say any more about it than that. But one of the things we're looking at is some inflatable stuff, and I'm going to be looking for someone who can do custom inflatable, costume type stuff.
Okay.
Awesome.
Wait, there was one other thing I wanted to talk about, but I can't remember what it was.
We'll have to do it next week.
Okay. I think that's as good a place to
Yeah.
stop as any.
Please send us pictures of your costumes if you're working
Please
on
send us
some.
Yeah.
pictures of your costumes. And if you're one of those couples where the man dresses up as me and the wife dresses up as Jamie, boy, I'd like to see that.
Just once.
Just once.
One time. We'll see you guys on Saturday, hopefully.
Hopefully see you
many
guys
of
on Saturday.
We'll see you on Saturday
you
at
shooting
the
it this year?
Castro.
We are shooting.
So these
we
will
are-
be videos
yes.
that'll go up, so
That's
people who
right.
can't come to San
Absolutely.
Francisco will be able to see it.
Yeah, but but it's best to see it in person.
There you go.
And also, please vote.
Yes.
Hold
vote.
on. Are we not doing another one before the election?
We'll try to, but doesn't matter.
Vote.
Vote.
It's
Vote, yeah.
vital that you vote. It's a really,
get it
really
stuck
vital.
in
I
your
don't
head.
care who you vote for. I mean, I
I
care
do.
who you vote for.
Don't vote
but
for the
I'm
fascist.
saying, I'm not even going to descend into politics. Descend. We've already descended. But vote. It's really vital that you vote. It's vital that everybody votes.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. See you next week.
Bye, guys.